What is up, good people? Jungle Link here. Hope you're doing well. We're going to listen to this interview from the CEO of Grayscale, where he's going to talk about the massive amount of capital that's getting ready to flood into cryptocurrencies. It's going to be absolutely crazy. But then he's going to talk about institutions, big-time investors. They're kind of already got their mind wrapped around Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're asking what's next. We don't even know where to start. How do we start classifying this asset class? And Grayscale has started breaking cryptocurrencies down into sectors. So we'll take a look at their paperwork on that, kind of how they're thinking about this. Because what you're going to see is not only more individual ETFs, where you'll have an XRP ETF or Cardano ETF, but you're going to see bundled ETFs, where you can just invest into the smart contract sector of cryptocurrencies or into payments or DApps. So I'll show you that. Understand this. You're hearing all about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's big and it's massive and it's going to change this game forever. But that's just the start. And you want to be well ahead of that curve, because once that money comes flooding into other altcoins, it's going to be all over Red Rover. Let's go ahead and play the video, see what he has to say.
Bitcoin down today, but not out. Our next guest says the recent crypto rally is encouraging, with a 40% move higher since early September. How much more upside is there for the digital coin? Let's bring in Grayscale Investment CEO Michael Sonnenschein. Michael, welcome. Great to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
The premise behind the rise in Bitcoin is that an ETF is going to be approved by the SEC, and all of a sudden everybody's going to want to be in it. There's going to be a lot of buying of Bitcoin, et cetera. Why should we believe?
The one thing she's saying there that I think is wrong is not there's an ETF approved so everyone wants to be in it. They already want to be into crypto assets. They just don't have an acceptable vehicle to make those investments. So that's a clear difference. It's not a FOMO-driven thing. It's the fact they've already made the decision. We want to allocate to crypto. They just can't. Again, a pension fund, an endowment fund, some billionaire, they're not necessarily going to want to stuff, multiple millions of dollars on a Ledger Nano, stuffed under their pillow at night. Like, they need more security. They need custodians. They're not interested in using the sector, but they sure want to invest in it. So I think that's the real key difference from what she's saying. The demand is there. They want in now. This is just going to allow them to do so.
Believe that new money will be attracted into Bitcoin once an ETF is approved, as opposed to capital being reallocated within the Bitcoin universe?
It's a great question. Today, without having spot Bitcoin ETFs in the market, there is nearly $30 trillion of advised wealth in the U.S. just alone that needs access to crypto, that needs access to Bitcoin, and by and large hasn't had access to it. So the onset of Bitcoin ETFs, spot Bitcoin ETFs, will really open the door to financial advisors, advised wealth, really to have the opportunity to participate in Bitcoin in a way that they really haven't had before.
So the 30.
That's a big driver. The fact that, advisors are getting asked, hey, I want to put some money, I want to allocate towards crypto. They can't legally do it. They have to have a custodian that's going to be responsible for this stuff as well. Your financial advisor, again, can't pull out a bunch of ledgers and just keep it in his desk. So that's a big thing. And the other driver here is these big institutions, they're sick of losing capital. That outflow where people go, you know what, I got to go to Coinbase or Kraken, or I got to do this myself because I just am missing out. They're sick of seeing those capital outflows. They want in. They want to service that demand. And so I think that's why you see this big onslaught, Grayscale, Fidelity, because they got to do it, or they're just going to keep bleeding out more of their money they have under management, because people are going to have to do it themselves. They don't want to do it. They want their advisor to do it, but they're not capable until we get these products.
$30 trillion number is just the assets under management in wealth accounts. It's not actually money that wants to go into Bitcoin. So in your assumption, what percentage of those assets want an allocation to Bitcoin?
Well, we can start to play around with some numbers. Let's talk about what percentage of that universe wants Bitcoin exposure, over what time period are they going to allocate to it, what is their target allocation going to be, and you pretty quickly get to some pretty large numbers.
Michael, what do you think, again, when investors are thinking about diversification and they're looking for the sorts of assets that have the potential to outperform over the long run, this is very new for all intents and purposes. What do you think the bull case is right now into 2024 for having an allocation in Bitcoin, whether it's in spot, or whether it's in a ETF, that sort of thing? What is the bull case for all those trillions that are looking for a home?
I think for most investors, when they look at Bitcoin itself, the use case that resonates with the largest percentage of them is really looking at Bitcoin as a digital gold. It's gold meant for a more digitized age. It's more portable. It's more divisible. It has arguably greater utility. And that alone is a really large market that has not been addressed yet.
Michael, how about
Now, he's explaining Bitcoin briefly here, but I think everyone understands this. They know the demand's there. People have their minds wrapped around it. But everyone's already front-run that as well. And we've seen that by the values of both Bitcoin and Ethereum. We know both of those products are coming, but I think people are still skeptical that it's going to bleed over into the rest of cryptocurrencies. And so as we watch this, I think it's going to make it clear they are preparing for that flooded capital to spill over just Bitcoin and Ethereum and hit the broader market. And that's going to be the big surprise.
the broadening of this rally? We talk all the time about, the broader market is 7 stocks. Are we seeing breadth? But, your point is that you're seeing breadth across the digital asset space, and that this rally, which is like Bitcoin's, up 120% in a year, probably garden variety of moves that we've seen at different times. But how about the other parts of the entire spectrum?
It's a great question. We are seeing from investors that they want to move beyond just Bitcoin and Ethereum into other parts of crypto, but a lot of them don't even know where to start. We recently introduced a new framework. It's called the Grayscale Crypto Sectors, and it borrows from sector investing in traditional assets like equities, but really helps investors break down the use cases, the differentiation amongst different protocols, and ultimately will allow them to develop the vocabulary and the metrics to be able to monitor developments across crypto, not just in its 2 largest assets by market cap.
Today's sell-off notwithstanding.
So let's go ahead and take a look at what he's talking about, what Grayscale has set up here. And part of this is educational. They want people to be able to wrap their head around this space. Why might you invest in Cardano instead of Aave, or Maker instead of XRP? Like, how do you kind of think about this? That's part of it, but they're also going to have ETF products that, again, bundle a bunch of these investments and give you exposure to a broader, broader area of crypto. So the first category they have is currencies into into the crypto space, and it needs to have at least one of 3 functions to hit this category: medium of exchange, store of value, and a unit of account. And they're looking for things with global reach, just kind of large volume where you could, source payments or easily source value from this sector here. And in this, we see the top 4 are Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin, and cash. So these are literally value or money is how you would look at these cryptocurrencies. And again, as we go through this, doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. Some categories in my mind, I have it categorized a little bit differently. There's of course some things in these bundles where I wouldn't want any Bitcoin Cash. I really don't want any Litecoin either. But it just lets you know how capital's going to come flooding in. And by categorizing and grouping and rolling out bundle ETFs, you're also going to be able to encapsulate that layer a little bit lower that may not have enough volume today to really necessitate its own ETF, but it can still get some of that institutional money and that big investor money by being bundled with enough other cryptocurrencies where, now it makes some sense. Smart contract platforms, we know this one. This is the granddaddy of them all right now. It's in terms of big protocols battling each other for supremacy. They're all after Ethereum. And in this category, we see Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Tron, and Polkadot. Again, pretty common sense there. Why I probably would not invest in something like this is I'm not a fan of Solana. I'm not a fan of Tron. If this was an ETF bundle that gave me ETH, Cardano, and Polkadot, great. I'm ready to rock and roll. So you can do this yourself too. I mean, you don't need Grayscale to do this. As you're thinking about your investment and your portfolio, you can say, you know what, I want to have exposure to smart contracts. And so pick out your favorite ones and put an allocation of your portfolio to that. I like what I call also the holy trinity of crypto, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. They just have been top dogs since time immemorial. Things like this, DApps. What are the most compelling DApps? That's kind of how I think about it. And even though I don't totally agree with their picks and all their categories here, I mean, this is a sensible way to kind of think about your investments. Financial crypto sectors. This is really DApps is what they're looking at. If you're looking to do lending, borrowing, things of that nature, yield generation. And they have Uniswap, of course, the decentralized exchange. Aave, Maker, and Compound. So you can kind of get the drift here and just understand consumer culture crypto. This is kind of like gaming and DeFi. So you can go over here and read through all this stuff. But know that a lot of these, if not all of them, will make their way to ETFs eventually, either one on their own or a bundled product. And you'll want to be ahead of that. You want to get your money in before they announce, you know what, the payments ETF's coming out that has XRP, XLM, and something else, or whatever it might be. Oh, the smart contract ETF is now live, and Polkadot and Cardano are the top allocation. Things of this nature. Think ahead of time. What's going to make that first round of that ETF wave after it gets by Bitcoin and Ethereum? I think they'll run with those two for a while to see what the appetite really is for investors, because they're just kind of estimating at this point in time. We have 30 trillion. We think 1, 2, 3% is going to go to this asset class, but they really don't know. So they're going to want to see what those two top cryptos, but it's going to spill over into the broader market. It'll be very similar to the journey that all of us went on. Something brought us into this space. For me, it was Bitcoin. For you, it was something else. And then you start broadening out, and your big money is going to do much the same. And Grayscale and others are going to give them a framework for analyzing, comparing, and deciding how to allocate their capital. And it's going to be a lot more complicated than just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.